Hey, this is Tara from GoGlobal, and this is another video in this series, A Day in the GoGlobal Life. And I'm here talking from my experience as someone who was born and raised in Silicon Valley, someone who studied psychology, human behavior, motivation, and someone who studied information technology and building databases, data warehouses, data science, and from where I live and work in Turkey, kind of bringing a global perspective on early stage tech startups and how they can grow internationally. So I've been bringing you every day 3 takeaways that I get from the conversations that we're having at Go Global, the conversations we have with tech startups, the conversations we have with accelerators, with investors. And so the 3 takeaways that I have for you today. The first one is kind of a global perspective. So what I've been watching is in the US, I've been watching a lot of migration out of California. So people leaving Silicon Valley, people leaving California, companies leaving California and moving to other states. And they're moving for lots of reasons. You know, COVID, when people started working from home, people saw that it's possible to work from home. And if they could work from home, then they could work from anywhere. And if they could work from anywhere, where would they choose to work and live? So this is a question that I've had in my mind, is that if people can live and work from anywhere, well, where will they choose to live and why? So the psychologist in me, you know, is kind of observing and watching, reading articles, listening to podcasts, asking the people that I know in Silicon Valley in the US, what's going on, what's the motivation here, and what's the draw of other places. So this is something I'm observing. And I've even heard people talk about, you know, even migration out of the US and into other countries. And then if so, why? Why are they moving? Where are they choosing to go? So this is just kind of a question that I have and observations that I'm making. I'm just watching, you know, what through COVID I think has sped this up. What is happening with this? And this has a lot of implications for technology, for startups, the way people live and work and learn, and how they get their entertainment, how they gather. So this is just an observation that I wanted to share because I have a global perspective, because I talk to so many people in different places, in different sectors and industries, that I would love to hear from you, actually. If you have any observations about this, if you're experiencing this, if you're thinking about this, whether you're a startup, whether you're a corporate, whether you're an investor, whether you're, you know, another kind of stakeholder, what are you seeing from where you are? So this is one takeaway, kind of question and observation that I've been making. The second takeaway came about through a conversation I was having with a Go Global colleague, and she said, every startup should know what they don't know, and they should hire help in some way. So either you know that you're really good with your technology, but you're not very good with your marketing, or you're not very good with your sales. So you need to know what you don't know, and you need to know how to bring on this team member, how to bring on this advisor. You need to bring on help, hire help, bring in help. This is going to help you grow. First, you have to know what you don't know. So that's the second takeaway. And the third takeaway is, this came from another conversation I was having today, is as you know what you don't know, you also know what your value proposition is. So what is your tech startup? What is the value that you bring to whom? How do you bring it? And this is not enough just to know what it is, but to also be able to articulate and communicate your value. And so you communicate verbally, you communicate visually, you communicate even in ways you may not consider. So I had a client one time, and she was a branding specialist, and she would say, your brand is a promise, and it's the promise you make in every single thing that you do. It's how you answer the phone. It's how you reply to email. It's how you send out your marketing mailers to your mailing list. It's how you show up on social media. So you are communicating this value proposition in every single thing that you do. So this is another takeaway today. It's not enough just to know what your value proposition is, but being able to communicate it. And so With Go Global, we are constantly communicating the value of setting up a Zoom call between an investor and a startup. What's the value to the startup? What's the value to the investor? Why should they come together? Why should they come together now? And so we are constantly doing this. What's the value of having Go Global facilitate these conversations, for example, and then the startup goes and communicates the value to the investor. Here's our value proposition. Here's the traction that we've achieved so far. And the investor also needs to communicate value. Here's what we can offer you in terms of financing, in terms of funding, but also in terms of our network, in terms of our know-how. So the investor also is communicating value. So all these things are going to be very helpful to you as you grow your tech startup and you take it global. And hopefully these 3 takeaways were helpful to you in some way. And if they were helpful to you, please share in the comments here what your takeaway is from what I've shared, or if you have more questions about what I'm talking about here, please share in the comments. Coming soon, early in the month of February, we're going to be having an event called Are You Ready to Go Global? So you can watch out for that. If you're interested, also leave me a note in the comments or send me a DM depending on where you're watching this. So those are my 3 takeaways from a day in the Go Global life. And I would love to hear from you about anything that challenges you're having taking your tech startup global. And there's also other resources for you down in the description where you can find Go Global and other places around the web. So with that, one more question for you. If you have a question for me, you want me to record a certain video, answer a certain question, please also leave that in the comments and I'll answer that for you too, or try to answer it if I can. Alrighty, well, that's all for me today. I will check in with you again tomorrow with another video from A Day in the Go Global Life. See you next time.